In an exhilarating showdown between Japan and France, France shuts down Japan to win their second VNL title in 3 years. Before we go and analyze this match, let's start with a breakdown of these two teams and the road it took for them to get here. With a little bit of background, Japan, with their first ever VNL medal with a bronze last year, looking to capitalize and finally sink their teeth into what I believe will be the next evolution of volleyball and get a silver or gold medal this year. Their offense is not only one of, if not the fastest offense in the world, but it is also the most dynamic. We've seen the clips of Ishikawa fake hitting on two and setting the ball, Ran Takahashi jump bumping the ball as if he's on the playground. But because their offense is so coordinated, they don't have to waste any time thinking, and they can play to their full ability, showing how much of a team sport this is. France, on the other hand, is very dynamic, but for a very different reason. Their defense. It is very dynamic, and if not one of the strongest in the VNL. And it all starts with their monster blockers of Legoff and Sadiq, added together at almost a 14-foot wall that Japan has to go against. The France block is one of the biggest blocks in the VNL. Blocking is one of the most dynamic tools in men's volleyball. It serves as both a defense and offense, which can put pressure on any teams they face when they are in constant worry. Now that we got the background out of the way, let's go into the actual personnel of these teams and their makeup. So in this tournament, Japan's missing one of their premier upcoming talents in Ran Takahashi. He has suffered an injury and therefore has decided to sit out, and for some reason in this game against France they sit out Yamauchi, even though he's their tallest middle against this tall block, leading the way for other talents like Otsuka, who is a great outside hitter right now, and other middles as Onodira and Kantaro step up in their offense. Otsuka, although he is a great hitter and he's so efficient, he lacks the creativity that Japan is so known for when they're out of system. With Japan's average height of being 6'1", they're very undersized, meaning they have to really rely on their speed and combination plays to get those blockers off their guard and guessing. France, however, with an average height of 6'5", can almost never be off their guard when their reach is so long. Paired with the creativity of their setter, Antoine Brizard, this offense gives a lot for other teams to handle. However, for whatever reason, they set out arguably the best player in the world, Irvin Ingapeth, most likely to rest them up for the Olympics and to give their new guys a chance to show out and show up, because Irvin, let's be honest, he's on his way out. These two teams have faced each other this year in week 3 of the VNL. In their last meeting, Japan upset France in a reverse sweep, taking them to 5 sets in the Philippines. Japan being very overwhelmed by the physicality of France in the first 2 sets. MVP Ishikawa, who is having an MVP type season, gave an outstanding performance, an MVP type performance. With a heavy hitter of Miura backing him up and freeing Ishikawa from the block, this really was the difference maker. And now with the stage set, these guys are set to face off against each other in the finals of the VNL. And now without further ado, let's go watch the highlights of this film and try to see where we can break down how France ended up beating Japan in 3-1. Looking into this lineup, I don't really understand why they decided to go with Sakita first. I mean, they know they're serving. I don't understand why they have one of the weakest servers. I guess because they want to have one of the tallest blocks up there first. At some point, Sakita's going to be up there, right? So you might as well just start Ishikawa up there. I understand why you need to keep Sakita back there because he's one of the shorter ones and they're going to keep their aces up there first, but you're just asking to be out of system constantly, right? Even though that they excel in there, I would suggest that you start Ishikawa in the back. He's your best defender. He also gives you that option in the pipe. And looking on France's side, you have Legoff, who's arguably their best middle, coming up the second they side out. Oh, and Brizard is still in the back row. And look, right away, they have 4 hitters perfectly in system and their easy float serve. You basically wasted this rotation. And that's another thing too, is that Japan, the best thing that they have in their offensive weapon is the fact that their side out efficiency is so high. That's why when you watch this game back and forth, you see that they really go neck and neck with France, is because you can't put them away. The second you get the ball in their court, they're so good at first ball contact that it's really hard to break away from Japan. So in this game, it's obvious right away. It's whoever can break who first. Can the block break down their side out, or can Japan find an answer real quickly against France? It's basically an unstoppable force versus an immovable object. And that's why, even though this score doesn't really represent it or reflect it, this match was really good. Because Japan's defense was kind of lacking this entire time. Not really the front row and the block, it is what it is, you're matched up, but the back row just kind of felt like they left a lot of gaps open. And there's Ishikawa again, which is why whenever they're in rotation 2, if they started Sakita there with Ishikawa behind them at outside, then they are probably the most offensive. Not really a strong serve there from number 10. Why you're floating even though you're over 6 foot tall, I don't understand. It just makes more sense to jump. There's no block. You're already as tall as the net, if not taller, when you put your hands up. So why not get that jump serve and just aim for a gap? And they're a beautiful set from Bizarre. If you look into that set from Bizarre, he looks outside but fakes his body at the end to finish off into the pipe. Sakita didn't really have the best game. I don't know what their game plan was, but if you're gonna put anything tight against this tall France team, you are asking for them to get stuffed. I think Ishikawa right there with the jump top, even though it wasn't a perfectly aimed one, just because he top served it, he got in the gap, and look at it, it's 10 foot off the net. Perfect pass, but it's also not tight, which means they can't add anything that quick. And that's a great play by Nishida. I don't know how they were thinking about putting these guys when you have a talent like Miura and Nishida that close. And you know, Miura's taller, so I don't understand why they put him in the back. A lot of questions from the coaching side of Japan. And again, a play there. Sakita, I don't know why you don't put your foot on the line. Defense is kind of lacking from his side as well. Set 3. Well, defense lacking from Sakita. Luckily, Lagoff doesn't have a jump top, otherwise they probably would have won a little bit faster. Again, in hindsight, that's a pretty tight block. I mean, unless you have a cut shot in your bag, that's really hard for Atsuka to finish off. And that's why you have Anton Rizard. Set 3, 23-24. What a clutch of a serve. That's why you pay him the big bucks. So again, the speed. When you're out of system and it's obvious who you're setting, that block is hard to go around. Unless you're very, very accurate with your shots or you're creative, you're not getting past France. And that's the thing. Yuki Ishikawa versus Lagoff, it's a one-on-one. Usually the attacker wins on the one-on-one, but because they're so long, and that was a good guess by Lagoff, they end up losing that. 4th set, 12-11. Yamamoto, missed opportunity. Why is he not reading that block, seeing that it's over the gap? Or Ishikawa, like, what are you guarding if you're not on the line? When it comes to blocking, shorter blockers usually don't get anything done. Maybe they should look into having an opposite, you know, a setter to sub in for that opposite position at times. In the future, maybe they try to sub in Sakita for a taller setter. Or maybe they sub in Sakita for Miura or Nishida and have a 6-2 situation where, you know, they have Sakita in the back and then another setter in the back, and maybe that's how they substitute each other out. Now, 4th set, 18-16, I love that move to bring that free ball over with a sky ball, right? When you have something like that, it really gives you guys time to reset and really just look at it. Ishikawa really trying to bring their team into this. He is their get out of jail free card. And what an amazing set by Sakita. I mean, that's why you have him there, right? Again, and you know, another missed opportunity in that back row. Like they're not even close to getting that ball or getting to a position where they feel like they can touch that ball. And if you see, they move Sakita at the last minute to make him the middle blocker and have their middle block on the right side. And let's talk about that final decision by Sakita. Typically, when you are going against the grain, it is good to set the right side. However, it wasn't really that far to the outside. It was also 10 feet off the net. So you don't really catch the defense slipping if it takes forever for you to set that ball all the way to the right side. So in that situation, even though Ishikawa is your get out of jail free card, like I just said, it is way more better to set something more perfect that you can see as opposed to something that you can't. In that set, you see he'd set it too tight, and ultimately Japan ended up paying the ultimate price. The biggest Achilles heel of Japan was just those tight sets, you know, and that was the gamble that Japan had. Do we keep Sakita in the front? When you have Sakita in the front, who's 5'9", if you block, it has to be a commit block because it takes time for you to set up, to really jump and really get up in the air to match with these blockers. if you do, then you just leave Antoine Brizard like a feast of whatever he can do wherever you're not. Ultimately, I would look into that for Japan. France really pigeonholed Japan to what they're usually good for, and that's being dynamic. And when you can make them easy to read, it's a feast for France. It was a really tough game, but ultimately France won just because they were the better team. And this is no knock to France. They didn't win just because they're strong, like physically. They're also a great team. That defense, they had great pickups. They're well squared. It does help that they're long, that they're able to reach for those balls and spread out the court as much. But ultimately, they were organized, and with Antoine Brizard being able to set any ball when they're out of system, it just made it really easy. And without Irvin Ingepeth, they're really going to be a scary team to face in the Olympics. If you like this video, make sure to like and subscribe. I would love to talk about the USA volleyball team, what they're doing, especially the women's and men's pro league, the Pro Volleyball Federation. LOVB is coming up soon. I'm going to be looking into that. Make sure to like and subscribe. Please let me know what you thought. Were you rooting for France, or are you rooting for USA? Are you rooting for Japan this year for the Olympics? Make sure to follow me on Instagram, TikTok, all the links in the bio, and I'll see you in the next one. Thank you.